Aloha Pokemon trainers! Over the course of the 22-year history of the Pokemon franchise, we have seen regions inspired by many real-life locations, including France, Japan, and most recently Hawaii. These regions tend to have a strong geographic likeness as well as a cultural and historical resemblance to their real-life counterparts. In this video, I want to point out 7 countries that I think would make fantastic Pokemon regions based on their geography, culture, and history. But do keep in mind that list videos like these are opinionated, and opinions aren't always the same. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. As my number 7, I picked the Central European nation of Poland. The history of Poland is filled with highs and lows, and one such high was the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which, at its peak, was one of the most powerful and diverse countries on the European continent, that at one point hosted a multi-ethnic population of 11 million people. Poland has a rich history and unique culture that makes it an amazing location for a potential Pokemon region. The city of Krakow, on the southern end of Poland, is well known for its preserved medieval core, Jewish quarter, and main square known as the Rynek Główny. The main square is the principal urban space located at the center of the city. It's dominated by the Renaissance-era Cloth Hall and home of St. Mary's Basilica. In contrast to Krakow, the modern Polish capital of Warsaw is marked by its vibrant and tumultuous past by its varied architecture, ranging from restored Gothic work, Soviet-era blocks, and graceful modern glass and steel structures. Warsaw is home to Wilanów Palace, that serves as a reminder of Polish culture before the 18th century, and is the location of many concerts and cultural events. For a taste of the sea, the city of Gdańsk would be wonderful for a hypothetical Polish region, being situated on the Baltic Sea with its own fantastic history. Aside from its fantastic and vibrant cities, Poland also has its share of both man-made and natural wonders. Ariant Rocks is one such natural wonder, located right on the border of Czechia. These twisting rocks and deep caverns were once the path of smugglers sneaking out of the Czech kingdom into modern-day Polish lands. In the game, Ariant Rocks would be a great location for a maze-like path for a mythical Pokemon, or even an evil team hideout. Another Polish marvel is Lake Szynardwy, located in the Mezrine Lake district. The lake itself has 8 islands within it, making it a wonderful locale for many water-type Pokemon. Culturally speaking, Poland is positively overflowing. Being located at the center point between Slavic countries to the east and Germanic countries to the west, Poland received a mix of the two separate cultures, resulting in a plethora of architecture, art, music, literature, and cuisine. Due to this, Polish mythology could be a fantastic source for Pokemon designs. One possible design could derive from the giant shape-shifting woodland spirit known as the Leszli. They are often known for leaving people alone, but have been reported to have led travelers astray and abduct children, which sounds like a grass ghost Pokemon with the move Transform if you ask me. For number 6, we're heading to southern Europe for Italy. What was once the heart of the Roman civilization and birthplace of the Renaissance is now a country that oozes from its cultural legacy. After the fall of Western Rome, the Italian peninsula slowly devolved into governance by independent city-states. It was within these city-states that the Renaissance blossomed and spread. Later in the 19th century, through a period called Risorgimento, or Italian unification, the peninsula became the unified kingdom of Italy under the rule of Victor Emmanuel II. As a Pokemon region, Italy could focus on its rich past with many ancient ruins scattered about the region, along with having very distinct cities with their own standout characteristics. Speaking of cities, why not discuss one of the most internationally recognizable cities of Italy? Venice. Once a powerful maritime republic, Venice is now famous for its canal network, making it a favorite tourist destination. Aside from its canals, Venice is also the home of Basilica di San Marco, a beautiful building that blends architecture styles from the east and west. The Doge's Palace is another side of Venice. With its beautiful ornate Gothic structure, it would make a wonderful location for a gym. Leaving the canals of Venice behind, we head for the Italian countryside, where we find a nation flush with many amazing natural and man-made wonders. The 250 million year old Dolomites are famous for hiking and skiing. The Dolomites would be a great place for Ice-type Pokemon to inhabit, whilst giving the opportunity for a fun race down the mountain minigame. Another wonder is the Fiore Fjord, though the fjord is actually a ria, which is formed by the submergence of the lower portions of a river valley. A small village is tucked away here, and earned the moniker, the village that doesn't exist. Being home to the Roman Empire and center of the Renaissance has resulted in a flourishing culture throughout Italy. The family is especially important alongside religion, art, and cuisine. Furthermore, the national animal of Italy is the Italian wolf, which is important to the culture of the peninsula. According to myth, it was a she-wolf that suckled Romulus and his twin brother Remus. Romulus would later found the city of Rome. Though we have quite a few wolf-based Pokemon, I think a legendary Italian wolf would be well suited for an Italian region. For my number 5, we're heading to the New World to the South American country of Peru. Though various civilizations have risen and fallen in Peru, including the Chavan, Mochi, and Nazca, none have compared to that of the Inca Empire. In just under a century, the Inca expanded their empire to most of Peru, Chile, and parts of Ecuador, Bolivia, and northwest Argentina. However, around 1532, conquistadors under Francisco Pizarro conquered the once mighty Incas, leading to Spanish colonial rule and eventual independence in 1824. Peru has the potential to be a Pokemon region of the likes never seen before. The setting of South America would grant us the experience of both Old and New World cultures, Inca stonework mixed with Spanish masonry, and a diverse climate. The former Incan capital of Cusco is a wonderful example of Spanish architecture built into Inca stonework. When conquered during the 16th century, the city had clearly defined areas for industrial, artisan, and agricultural work, which was preserved with the addition of Spanish Baroque churches built over the ruins. Peru's extensive history and diverse topography offers an abundance of wonders that would be fantastic if incorporated into a Pokemon region. One of the more fascinating natural wonders is the Boiling River, which serves as a backdrop to extensive and rich Amazonian spirituality. The river flows blisteringly hot for over 6 kilometers and is 5 meters deep at its deepest point. According to the local shamans, the river is home to many spirits in its various locations, and in one of the most sacred spots is where the Yaku Mama, or Mother of the Waters, lives. She is depicted as a giant serpent that has preserved, ancient, and a powerful teacher, who is hesitant to interact with humans. There is a website dedicated to the Boiling River that hosts a large pool of information on the river, and if you're interested in checking it out, there will be a link in the description. Peru has a mixture of both Hispanic and native cultures that could provide an interesting and fun experience as a Pokemon region. While discussing the Boiling River a moment ago, I mentioned the Yaku Mama, and personally, she'd make a great legendary. However, I would like to add the idea of a Jaguar legendary due to Jaguars being very important and common in many South American cultures. The Jaguar represents various things, including a symbol of might and authority, as well as a spiritual companion to shamans. Having one represented in a Peru-based Pokemon region would work wonderfully. Coming in at my number 4 spot is located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean and the setting of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, New Zealand. Consisting of 2 main islands and over 600 smaller islands, New Zealand is a stunningly beautiful nation with a diverse typography and distinct biodiversity, giving us a brief glimpse into a potentially amazing Pokemon region. Being so remote, New Zealand was one of the last places settled by humans. The first settlers were Polynesians that arrived sometime around 1250 to 1300. Abel Tasman was the first European to sight New Zealand in 1642. However, European contact wouldn't resume for another 127 years. The natives of New Zealand, known as the Maori, signed the Treaty of Waitangi, declaring British sovereignty over the islands. Thusly, New Zealand became a British colony in 1841, a dominion in 1907, and gained its full independence in 1947. Its population of 4.6 million consists of 74% European descent, and its largest minority being the Maori at 14.9%. Reflecting these statistics, the culture of New Zealand derives primarily from the Maori people and early British settlers. However, due to recent immigration increases, the culture of this humble nation has broadened. Auckland is the most populous city in New Zealand and is located on the northern tip of the northern island. Positioned between 2 harbors and host to many other attractions, Auckland has no shortage of amazing points of interest. One such attraction is Devonport, a suburb of Auckland. Sporting a fantastic view of the city of sails along with a naval base and colonial architecture makes Devonport a fantastic retreat from the city. Aside from the quiet suburb, Auckland sports the telecommunications and observation tower known as Sky Tower, which could make a great homage to the radio tower in Johto. A city is fancy now, but the real gems of New Zealand are its magnificent array of natural wonders present. A living and bioluminescent wonder can be found in the Wadamo Caves, home to one of the best views of New Zealand glowworms. Another stunning sight is Milford Sound. Described as the 8th wonder of the world, the sound is host to glacial fjords that seem to arise from the ocean, and the darker water makes for a curious diving spot due to the dark waters allowing depth-dwelling animals to be found closer to the surface. New Zealand, culturally speaking, is in a curious spot because of the active revival and presence of the native Maori culture, which alone could be significant in a region set in New Zealand, flush with Maori myths, literature, and beliefs. Instead of drawing from that rich pool for possible Pokemon inspirations, I've decided that it's time to finally mention New Zealand's most internationally recognized animals, the bizarrely adorable, flightless bird known as the kiwi. Finding its way into people's hearts, the kiwi is a symbol of national pride. Those native to New Zealand are commonly referred to as kiwis. The Royal New Zealand Air Force has a kiwi center point in its insignia, and the national animal of New Zealand, of course, is the kiwi. What better way to have a New Zealand-based region than to have a kiwi-based Pokemon? At number 3 is another island nation, this time located in the North Atlantic that, like New Zealand, comes packaged with its own stunning landscape, and is one of my personal favorites, Iceland. With a surprisingly small population of only 334,252 individuals, this Nordic nation boasts a rich past and promising future. First settled in 878 CE, Iceland was an independent commonwealth, later ascending under Norwegian rule and then Danish rule. It wasn't until 1918 that Iceland achieved independence again, and only in 1944 did Iceland become a republic. With the help of the Marshall Plan and industrialization of its fisheries, Iceland began to prosper as a wealthy and developed nation. Reykjavik is the largest city and capital of Iceland. Home to a population of less than 200,000, this lively city is thought to have been the first permanent settlement on the island. During the summer solstice, the sun sets just after midnight and rises again around 3 in the morning here, which would be interesting if incorporated into a Pokemon region. Along with that, Reykjavik is known for its vibrant nightlife and music scene. Another attraction is the Harpe Concert Hall, known for its 714-light facade, allowing the building to display moving artwork at night and interactively using the building as a monitor for a game of Pong. Also, did I mention that the northern lights are also visible? Yeah, Reykjavik is a beautiful city. Iceland is suitably nicknamed the Land of Fire and Ice, and is home to one of the most voluminous glaciers in Europe, Vatnajökull. Covering 8% of Iceland's landmass, this massive ice cap is known, like many other Iceland glaciers, for having volcanoes underneath it. The eruptions resulting from the volcanoes leads to large pockets of water underneath the ice that may burst through weakened bits in an event known as a subglacial outburst flood. Another special wonder of Iceland is Dýrfoss, the most powerful waterfall in Europe. The water that cascades over Dýrfoss fall for over 44 meters, resulting in a massive spray. The distance Iceland has from continental Europe has resulted in a very distinct and vibrant Icelandic culture shaped by its Scandinavian heritage and geographic isolation. Iceland folklore is full of spirits, elves, trolls, and sea monsters, all of which would make for a fantastic basis for Pokemon. However, Iceland is also home to some interesting wild and domestic animals that would play into Iceland's history and culture. One such animal is the Icelandic sheepdog that arrived alongside the early Norse settlers. As herders, their role was to protect and herd livestock such as sheep and ponies. This breed of dog would make a fantastic ice type and another great addition to the enduring and lovable dog-like Pokemon. For number 2 is a country that witnessed many powerful empires, including Persia, Eastern Rome, and the Ottomans. Turkey. Considered as part of the Next 11, Turkey has a high potential of becoming one of the world's largest economies in the 21st century. Turkey's national hero, Mustafa Kemal, founded modern Turkey with the Anatolian remnants of the Ottoman Empire. He was later awarded the honorary title of Ataturk, meaning Father of the Turks. A Turkish city once known as Constantinople, Istanbul bears the marks of empires. From a Roman-era hippodrome used for chariot races, an Ottoman-era Sultanate district home to the Sultan Hamid Mosque, and even Egyptian obelisk. By far, the most famous attraction to Istanbul is the Hagia Sophia, what was once a focal point of Eastern Orthodox Christianity and considered the greatest church of all of Christendom for a millennia. It was converted in 1453 into a mosque by the Ottomans and highly maintained. In 1931, it was closed to the public and opened 4 years later as a secularized museum. Aside from the majestic Sultan Hamid Mosque and Hagia Sophia, Turkey is filled to the brim with fantastic wonders, from the burning rocks of Mount Olympus to the waters of Pamukkale terraces that once served as a Roman spa city. But by far my favorite is Cappadocia. Dominated by its fairy chimneys and Bronze Age troglodyte homes, this area is filled to the brim with its own unique history and was even once its own kingdom. In Pokemon, it would make a great area for ground types due to its semi-arid climate, but would still be populated by both locals and tourists there to participate in the very popular hot air balloon rides across the fairy tale landscape. Turkey, especially Istanbul, is known as the crossroads of Europe and Asia. As a result, Anatolia is a region of multiculturalism with influences from Central Asia, West Asia, and Eastern Europe. Early in the years of the Republic, the government invested greatly into fine arts in order to modernize and form a unique cultural identity. Modern-day Turkey has many inherited myths from its various peoples, however, none caught my eye as a potential Pokemon basis. Instead, I picked the extinct Caspian tiger, which inhabited sparse forest and ravine corridors from eastern Turkey to western China, but fragmented due to human influence. A Pokemon based on this could honor this now lost big cat. For number 1, we're heading to a Southeast Asian country that has a long and complex recorded history, stretching as far back as the 3rd century BCE, and includes imperial domination by China, self-dynastic rule, French colonization, and Japanese occupation during World War II, mystical Vietnam. Briefly speaking, we can begin with the First Indochina War, where the Viet Minh fought France against its efforts to recolonize Vietnam. After the war, the nation was split north to south at the 17th parallel, the north backed by the Soviets and the south by the United States. The US intervened on behalf of the South in order to contain communism and stop it from spreading to neighboring countries. Viewed as a continuation of colonialism by the North, the war drug on until 1973, when the US withdrew. However, Saigon fell in 1975, unifying Vietnam under a communist government. Since 1986, after reforms were made, Vietnam began to experiment with similar changes happening in the Soviet Union, which revived the economy, and ever since the 2000s, Vietnam has entered a new era of economic development. Vietnam is expected to be a newly industrialized country, regional power, and is considered alongside Turkey to have the potential of becoming one of the world's largest economies in the 21st century. Two cities in Vietnam that show the marks of history are Ho Chi Minh City in the south and the capital Hanoi in the north, the former of which was formerly known as Saigon. Ho Chi Minh City is known for its role in the Vietnam War, French colonial landmarks, and museums. On the other hand, Hanoi is known for its centuries-old architecture and rich culture influenced by Southeast Asia, China, and France. Located in Hanoi, the Buddhist Bac Ma Temple is one of the city's oldest, dating back to the 11th century, and was constructed by Emperor Lai Tai To in honor of the white horse that guided him to the site. Dotted across Vietnam are many man-made and natural formations that would work well in a Vietnamese-based region. One such formation is the limestone pillars of Ha Long Bay. On tours, the guide gives local opinions on what the pillars most resemble, making the bay a great throwback and connection to the Parfum Palace located in France-based Kalos region. Another formation is the terrace fields of Saipa, which shine a bright yellow around harvest time in September. Also in the Saipa area is Mount Fansipan, and it's not only Vietnam's highest summit, but also Cambodia and Laos, giving Mount Fansipan the moniker the Roof of Indochina. Vietnamese culture, being one of Southeast Asia's eldest, is aflush with unique traditions, cuisine, and art forms, like the distinctly Vietnamese water puppetry. Much like other cultures across the world, Vietnam has its mystical and venerated animals, namely dragons, phoenixes, turtles, and unicorns. One of my favorites, and considered the most important of the four mystical creatures that symbolizes power, immortality, and nobility, the Vietnamese dragon, is an important symbol of emperors. Legend has it that the people of Vietnam are descendants of the king of dragons, Lac Long Quan, and this legend is painted in the proverb that the Vietnamese are children of the dragon and grandchildren of the fairy. Due to this prominence of dragons in Vietnam, a dragon Pokemon based on the traditional Vietnamese description of a dragon would make a fantastic addition to Pokemon. I hope you enjoyed this countdown video. It was really neat to dive into the history, cities, geography, and culture of countries on this list. Granted, this list wasn't easy to make, and many amazing nations were left out of the running, so much so that I'm curious if you'd like to see another top 7 video similar to this one. If you'd like to see another, tell me in the comments. Since it has been a while since I've uploaded and I've changed a few things on my channel, I'd like to suggest you to watch my update video uploaded alongside this one. It was made rather quickly, and a week or so before this video, so it's a tad bit bare bones, but gets the information across. If you haven't already, why not consider subscribing to my channel and click the bell notification to ensure you don't miss an upload. Engage in this video by giving it a like, comment, and share. It helps out the channel significantly. Thank you for watching, and like always, I'll catch you in the next one.